Why me?
Because you remember the stars. Seek the chronoscope. The fallen North Star still waits.
And if I fail?
Then the rain never ends.
Turn to echoes on the empty stage. And you know the pages faded away, and you know the call is in your veins.
Channel KOK.
Next Kingdom Reviews.
Nord, little citizenships. From Goy Toys comes NordQ, who delivers products of obedience. Watch as he teaches you to dock your rights and flow with the currency of Admiralty law. Nord! Illuminate or drown. Flip on his birth certi float and birth your freedoms for the greater illumination. With Nord the Cube, Operation Mind Fun for ages 5.
Tonight on Kingdom Reviews, dive into the mind-bending horrors of disturbing behavior.
MK Ultra mind control.
Whoa! Berserker rages and high strangeness at Lover's Lane. Will the teens break free from the blue ribbons? Don't miss it, or face the Berserker within.
The middle path is Christ's way. The cross unites all worlds.
Connect to your center.
Tonight on Kingdom Reviews, blast into the meta, mayhem of the last action hero.
Golden tickets to movie worlds, wild man mentors,
And Flanderized myths. Can Danny harness the Berserker fire? Don't miss it, or stay trapped in the dreamer's shadow.
Channel KOK.
Viewer discretion is advised.
The rain never ends here. Stone-soaked streets whisper myths from reels that rewind the sky. Fog climbs towers of forgotten stone, a kingdom veiled where time's unknown. Scripts tell stories that outlive death. You are now tuned in to KOK. now tuned in to KOK. Castle halls with TV light, play angel scripts in black and white, in the kingdom beneath the ever-falling skies, where we once watched the North Star flicker above. Scrolls of VHS inside cathedral halls, faith broadcasted through rainfalls, calls, dreams projected on the castle wall, bleeding silver in the ancient night. You are now tuned in to KOK. Where God directs and ghosts recite, lift the dawn over aliens all, lift the dawn over aliens all, lift the dawn over aliens, lift the dawn, lift the dawn, lift the dawn, lift the dawn. You are now tuned into channel KOK, broadcasted from the kingdom of eternal reign, where movies are the modern myths, and we each remember that every man's soul is in his keeping alone. God directs our fate. Will is your choice. Lead us home. Me Stella Aculones, lead us home. You are now tuned in to KOK. TV to ponder to, TV to ponder to, TV to ponder to. Amor fati. Channel KOK. Channel KOK.
Welcome and a more Fati everyone to Kingdom Reviews on channel KOK. I'm your host King. We're broadcasted live from the Kingdom of Eternal Reign, and this is the first video of the year of 2026. It's also the first Kingdom Reviews of the year. Later today, my co-host The Branch and I will also be doing another live stream for our other show, the King and Branch Show. And that one will be Dark Father, Dark Maga AI, Dark Magi, to do a 2025 year review. And it's an overall recap of what the Branch and I have been talking about on the King of Branch show and our X Space series, King's Court, which is, of course, Dark Father archetype symbolism in memes and pop culture, internet culture, media, Hollywood, and the cultural zeitgeist as a whole. And that's my segment. The brains segment would be what he's been reporting on for a year plus, and that is dark MAGA and the whole AI of it all, the whole techno panopticon, the Orwellian of it all. So that'll be later today. Right now, though, we're going to have a little bit of a more light-hearted subject, but still stoic and serious. So a more foggy everyone. Once again, we are back, and today's episode will be over the film Never Back Down from 2008. So I watched this film a few nights ago. I tried to do Kingdom reviews like the next day if I watched it in the evening, or the same day if I watch it that day. I originally wanted the King of Branch show to be the first episode of the year. That was actually going to be our morning show, and then the afternoon show was going to be this Kingdom Reviews Never Back Down. However, things got moved around. Things in the in the scheduling of the channel, and now doing this one first. So here we go. And I actually hadn't heard of this film prior to like a couple weeks ago. And I heard it from a guy, influencer online named Henry Miller. He mentioned this movie in a review and the philosophy of it all, and it intrigued me. And of course, I like 2000s movies, especially the kind of mid-budget films. That's something that I feel that is missing in Hollywood today with the digital streaming of it all has kind of, and the big budget have kind of came together and 1-2 punched, moved out the whole mid-budget of Hollywood films. And even like lower budget films, kind of, in a way, because A24 films, they're not low budget indie films, they're still Hollywood films. So as a whole, so going back, watching one that I hadn't seen was also appealing to me. And something about this film, because of the era, pre social media, it being the early days of technology and YouTube of the 2000s, where we're not being devoured by the World Wide Web and interconnectedness of it all. There is a bit of more like earnest authenticity to this film that we don't get today, where everything feels pastiche, which is a new word to my vocabulary. And I'll be talking more about that probably in the King of Brain show later today. It's a word I picked up from The War on Beauty. I believe her name is Julie Davis. She has a whole video on pastiche and AI. So essentially means a copy of a copy. It's a parody, a satire without substance, without meaning. And today, with how AI, the interconnectedness of it all, everyone is just kind of pastiching everything that they do, all the art, the music, the lives, the fashion, just everything. And we kind of do that on this channel with some of the aesthetics that we do. This falls back into like aestheticism and that philosophy. And that is not the case for this film because of the era it comes from. It's very 2000s in a very positive way. And this is 2008. So this is before the remake, reboot Karate Kid movies, but this is after Fight Club. And the first thing that I noticed when I watched the trailer, actually, besides the 2000-ness Y2K of it all, with the inner world, narration, the editing, the overexposed transitions and everything, the wishing, all of that. And which I love. I love he was just an average high school boy, that kind of thing, narration in trailers. Something I miss. I loved all of that. Also, what I noticed about it was it follows the same archetypes and tropes of not just of coming of age films in general, and especially of the era and the time, but it also it's basically a 1-to-1 of like dance movies, and also kind of like the first couple Fast and Furious movies before they became like superhero movies. And so I thought that was interesting. I was like, well, this is just, it's like a step up Fast Furious, but MMA. What I find interesting about what Henry Miller was getting at, and what I observed also when I watched it, was not just the rites of passage of it, but really what it had to say about rites of passage and the warrior, the wild man archetype. Of course, the wild man archetype, I've talked about it on the channel with like the Iron Drawn by Robert Bly, with that myth, that folklore, and also, the king, warrior, magician, lover, four archetypes of the mature, divine masculine. You have the warrior aspect, and that's your fighting spirit. And that's really what Never Back Down is kind of highlighting and is about. So, have this diagram that I show quite often of the four archetypes and the polar shadows, the positive and negative shadows, and the boy versions from the boyhood to the manhood of it all. And so you have warrior, and in his, of course, in his fullness, he's the warrior, but in the shadows, you have the sadist and the masochist. And in the boy, that's his desire to grow up to be a hero, like his father or men of his tribe, or like, myth fables, whether it's Robin Hood or Spider-Man or, King Arthur, Jesus. And what this film has to say is it's a rejection of the Fight Club ethos, really. And that's what I found really interesting about it, because though Fight Club, is a prominent 90s film, it's got good cinematography, it's interesting and everything, there is a part about it that I not just don't like, but I deny and kind of reject. And that is that in Fight Club, at the end of it, spoiler alert, not just for Never Back Down, but for Fight Club, and probably for the Karate Kid. At the end of Fight Club, of course, we find out that both characters are the main character. He just has a split personality. And at the end of it, you can say he combines the personalities. He combines his two halves. He combines himself with his shadow. But to me, the way it's depicted in Fight Club, it isn't this integration of the shadow. It isn't this making it your full, healthy man archetype, masculine archetype. It's not integrating the shadow of positive, negative of really any of the archetypes. It's not. It is in a way, but the way I see it when it is played out and shown in the film Fight Club, that it's actually kind of the opposite of becoming whole, becoming one with that archetype. It's more of his shadow has consumed him, and it's not his main personality. And yeah, he has his memories of, his uh, uh, other personality, but that shadow is the main present. It isn't this positive and negative shadow coming together and integrating it all and creating a third new thing, right? For a mainstream audience, I guess how you can describe it is in the MCU, in Marvel movies, in uh, Avengers Endgame, even though they don't really do anything with it, and it's a poor execution on itself. It's easy example to point at. You have Bruce Banner. He becomes Professor Hulk from the comics. He becomes Enlightened Hulk, and that's essentially the brain of Banner merging with the the bronze of the Incredible Hulk, because the Incredible Hulk is really like an entity within him that takes over and changes his form. And so Professor Hulk he kind of combines the two, so he can be both at the same time. He can have the strength of Hulk and the mind of Banner, so he kind of becomes this third thing, where he's not really one or the other. He's kind of this other thing, this third thing. And really, that should, again, might not be the best example in film, not the best execution, but it is closer to how real integration should look like. It shouldn't be one personality over the other. Of course, we don't really have a ending wrap up of the main character at the end of Fight Club, so it's kind of hard to say 100% that it's the shadow taking over. Is kind of more into interpretation, and that's how I take it, that it's, from what we've seen, it's fully just the shadow taking over and it being shown as integration. And Never Back Down kind of rejects having that shadow take over. So essentially, Never Back Down is about, I'm actually going to look up his name because I'm not going to keep on calling him main character. I've noticed I've done it in the past. I'm like, what's the main character's name? And I'm like, yeah, this guy, the main character. Let's see here. Main character of Never Back Down is called Jake. Yeah. So Jake, his father, prior to the opening of the film, the events of the film, his father dies in a DUI drunk driving accident. And Jake, who was in high school, who classic 2000s, is played by a 20-year-old, not as a teenager. But it's always funny to see. And I might actually prefer it in some cases. and he's played by Sean Ferris. But Jake, the character, was actually in the car with his father during the accident. And he knew his father had been drinking. He ends up letting his father drive. He offers to drive to get his father not to, drive under the influence, driving drunk. But his father says that he's good, and he lets his father drive, and he just gets in the passenger seat. Ends up wrecking. His father ends up dying. Jake ends up okay and surviving the accident. And it kind of, it traumatizes him, giving him some kind of form of PTSD. And he doesn't know how to handle it. He blames himself. He also feels like his mother blames him. And we'll get to the mother in a second, because one of my critiques of the film is the mother story just really isn't there. She's just kind of along for the ride, and you have to assume she's getting character development off the screen, and why her thoughts and opinions and what she's saying changes from scene to scene. We'll get to that in a moment. So he feels like, he blames himself. He thinks his mother blames him as well, and he also has a younger brother. And out of his trauma, out of his sorrow, out of his frustration, his blame that he has for himself and that he thinks others have on him, he has just so much anger and frustration and pent up energy. And, guys, we need to physically do something to sort out that energy. We need to put that forth somewhere. That's why talking usually isn't the best for us. It's more of a feminine archetypal thing. Usually, if we do talk about it, it's like, what do we do to fix it? What action can we take? How can we solve it? Right? But physical movement is always best to work out that energy. Of course, anyone that's good for, but talking strictly, archetypally, it's more of it's a masculine trait. And so having no guidance, he's just having these outbursts. And it doesn't help that we see in the opening of the film, he's a football player at his high school, and one of the other team's players does some smack talking about his dad to rile him up, to get a reaction out of him. And he, as in Jake, that makes him snap, and he starts a fight, which then both teams are now just in this all-out brawl. And you see when he gets home that his mother is upset with him for fighting. And through dialogue, you learn that this isn't the first time that he's been in a fight since his father's death, that he's actually had to have his mom pick him up from the police station. So he's having these outbursts that all around the accident with his dad and him not being able to process that, and also people provoking him and not being able to handle his inner world and his reaction to the people around him that are trying to provoke him. And his younger brother, who, kind of looks up to Jake. What's his younger brother's name, actually? Charlie. So Charlie looks up to Jake, and Charlie is like a tennis prodigy in his like middle school, and he gets like a scholarship to some plan, some offer to go to like a nicer school because he's such a good tennis player, and they want him to play tennis for them. And it's in a school in Florida, so their mother decides this is a good fresh start for all of us. Let's all just move to Florida. Charlie, her youngest son, can do his tennis thing. It's a good life opportunity for him, and hoping that it would also get a fresh start, not just for her, but for Jake, her older son, since he keeps on getting into fights. And so they move, and Jake in a new school stumbles upon a underground fight club. Essentially, the jock of his new school in Florida, Ryan, the popular jock, cool guy, the lion of the schoolyard, the alpha, is not a football player. He's actually an MMA fighter, and he has been since he was little, like trained. And he puts on like these underground fights on school grounds and off of school grounds. And because this was the 2000s, early YouTube, early internet era, like everyone is like they know about it, but they don't. It's like you have to get the memo. It's like raised in the 90s, but online fight clubs and meetups, and they're filming it, posting videos online, and videos of Jake's fights before he moved, when he was getting in trouble with the police and at his football game and everything, was recorded and posted online as well. And so Ryan, the cool jock, the cool guy at his new high school, knows kind of Jake's overall kind of backstory, background, and sees that he's got like this raw fighting spirit in him, and he wants to fight him to like. He's like, oh yeah, this new guy. I want to fight him, and he kind of orchestrates the scenario to try to get Jake to fight him. He has his girlfriend like flirt with Jake and not telling him that she's Ryan's girl. Her name is um her name was Baja. The entire time I was like, Baja Blast Mountain Dew, but she's played by Amber Heard. And this whole cast is like 2000s, like on the rise kind of actors who in the 2010s would go on to have bigger names. Sean Ferris, Amber Heard, Cam Gigadet, Evan Peters, Leslie Hope, Digimon. I don't really don't know how to pronounce his name. He's done a lot of movies. He plays the mentor that we haven't talked to about yet, the trainer. So it's just crazy. Also, the soundtrack is like the trailer has "Wanna Be Loved" by Papa Roach, which was the intro to WWE Monday Night Raw in the 2000s. There's, I don't think that's played in the movie though. Songs that are played in the movie are like, like Rise Against and Teenagers by My Chemical Romance. Crank That, Soldier Boy's played on it. Rockstar by Chamillionaire. Toby Mac, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. 12 Stones, The Bravery. TV on the Radio, Rise Against, Flipside. Melodrone. Gym Class Heroes. Tiesto. Like, it's just, the whole soundtrack is so 2000s. I love it. And so Ryan, the jock, gets Baja Amber Heard, who's supposed to be like, I guess, like this like beachy cool girl that was the last new transferred student before Jake. And so she leads him on, invites him to a party at Ryan's house. And it's like this giant like mansion and those cars and the crowds of people. There's a bunch of debauchery, degeneracy happening. Very, girls in bikinis. it's very much a guy movie. And one thing I could do with that was kind of all the like sexual things in the party. Like I know it's for the guys and everything, but also I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to see it in a movie. It's kind of degenerate. And so anyway, so he goes to this party. It's a wild, and he meets Evan Peters' character right before he goes to the party. His name's Max, and he's the like kind of like wide-eyed. He wants to be a fighter, but he's really not that good. But he's really good with cameras, so he films everything with the camcorder and with like a Sony handheld. And so they go to the party. Max and Jake go to Ryan's party, and Jake's just going just because he wants some time with Baja, which I don't blame him, right? Like if a girl asks a guy to a party, like shoot your shot, like go for it, man, and so he goes to this party. He uh, gets introduced formally to Ryan, and Ryan is trying to introduce him to this fight club scene because there's like a fight going on at the party that everyone's just cheering on and everything. And the whole time Jake is just like looking around for Baja because that's the only reason he's here. And Ryan's trying to act nice, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's my party. We got fights. You want a drink? How are you? Like I'm Ryan, and oh, that's just the side fight. We're gonna have a main event tonight." And then Jake goes like, "Well, what's the main event? You put all this on? What are you talking about? What's the main event?" And Jake is like, "We're the main event. We're gonna fight right now. Let's get it on." And Jake's like, "Well, I don't want to fight you. I'm not here to fight you. What?" And so Ryan is the embodiment of the Fight Club ethos, the Fight Club mentality. And he's kind of like this raw, self-initiated, shadow devoured him. He just likes fighting, not even for the sake of fighting, really. Just he wants to do it in front of people, make it like a show out of it, get people watching, stroke his ego, kind of thing. And Jake rejects it. Like, no, he has the opportunity to fight, and he doesn't want to. And that it shows you that the only time he fights, that he lets his shadow, he lets that shadow of the warrior take over, that wild man take over, depending on how you look at it, whether it's the warrior or the wild man archetype is when he lets that emotion he's unable to process about his dad be the reaction, take control, and not have himself be in control of his actions and his emotions. And which theoretically, not theoretically, but like actually his dad should be the one like kind of like teaching him how to control this. But his dad's not there, right? So it shows you what happens when a young man is on the threshold to manhood and doesn't have that mentor figure to usher him through that rites of passage through that doorway, which should be like the wild man initiating him. It should be that last test really should be him facing like the Dark Father, which we'll be talking about later on the Kingdom Branch show. But now it's Kingdom Reviews. And so he just rejects it because he doesn't have a reason, he doesn't want to. And then he's still kind of like scanning the room for Baha, Jake is. And Ryan picks up on it because he finally sees Baha. And they lock eyes, Jake and Baha. Ryan notices that Jake is looking at Baha and Baha is looking at Jake. And since he set all that up, he realizes what happened. He goes, "Oh, I see why you're here." And he goes over to Baha and just like kisses her, but it's like a very like not just like a pack, like it's a full on like show of like, this is my woman. And like it's just like a hard long kiss. And then that's when Jake put two together that he was misled to get him to this party just so he would fight Jake. And she's like, I'm leaving. He fully rejects it still. And Jake goes to leave, and that's when Ryan, he presses on. And he goes, I've seen the videos of you. I know you're a good fighter. He goes from that to, what? Why won't you fight me? To, this is my woman. Don't you want to fight me now? To, oh, I also know about what happened with your dad. And that is what sets Jake off. So Jake's like, fine, let's fight now. And Jake is just raw, like street fighting, like boxing, just ready to take on Ryan. Thinking, that he's strong, he can take him. Not realizing at the time that Ryan has like been trained since he was young to do MMA, and Ryan just dominates Jake and like knocks him out. And Max takes Jake home. Evan Peters' character takes Jake home. And now Jake wants nothing to do with Baha, wants nothing to do with Ryan. Ryan's happy. He's like, I have videos of me kicking this guy's ass, you know. And so it's that pride in Ryan. And so Ryan got what he wanted. And next day at school, Jake is just avoiding all of them. He wants nothing to do with it. You know, he's all bruised up. And that's when Max gives him this video of like these MMA guys training with this trainer. He says, like, this is my trainer, really good guy. This is the people he trains. He owns a dojo fighting club, like an MMA gym here in Florida. Is one of the best. And Jake is still kind of angry that he let Ryan get the best of him, and feeling that he's kind of fighting for himself and like dad's honor. Goes to this gym and meets I believe his name is John, who becomes his like mentor sensei. So he kind of becomes the father figure, the mentor, the wild man, the dark father archetype, to help initiate Jake into manhood. And he says Jake has to talk him into training him because he sees that he's all bruised up, and John realizes that, and Jake's only there to learn how to fight, to beat people up. He's like, I don't train people to beat people up. I train people for their minds, for protection, you know, for the philosophy, all that, for the exercise. And John accepts when Jake promises him that he will not fight outside of the gym. And so John trains Jake in MMA, and they get like this, you know, like apprentice mentor kind of relationship, father-son relationship. And Jake is doing pretty good. You know, he's able to start controlling himself. They parallel him able to control his reaction to things with what he's learning in the gym through MMA, like the breath work and waiting to react, to respond at the right time, and all that. And so this is where the movie kind of becomes Karate Kid, right? So really what John represents is the Karate Kid ethos. So we have Jake rejecting the Fight Club ethos represented by Ryan and accepting the Karate Kid ethos represented by John. So it's him accepting initiation by a mentor, by an older man, by an elder, by the wild man, over self-initiation where your shadow can consume you. And eventually, Bahal actually does, fall for Jake. She feels bad. She apologizes. She accepts her apology. They start like having a thing going out. She breaks up with Ryan. Ryan's upset. He wants Jake to do a rematch. And Jake's like, no, but also that's also kind of what Jake has been preparing for. And so all Ryan really has to do is find a way to provoke him again. And he does by using Max and be like, Max, you want to hang out? Invites him over to his house. He was like, you can spar and we can, us and us guys can practice some MMA and all this and hang out. And Max is like, yeah. And so Max is there at Ryan's house. And Ryan has Max in front of a group of guys spar him. And Ryan just beats the crap out of Max. Like, puts him in the hospital. And they dump his body. Ryan and his posse, his entourage, his pack is following, drops Max's body like in front of Jake's apartment. And where Ryan wants to fight Jake is at the beatdown, which is basically this like MMA underground tournament that he does. There's a DJ, it's in a warehouse, and there's a match, and they're just fighting one after the other. It's basically like the final dance scene in Step Up, or it's also kind of like I guess you could say a unregistered, unorganized, self-organized amateur version of like a tournament like from Karate Kid. And I mean, and Ryan tries everything. He even beats Jake up in the restroom. And then Jake still doesn't kind of respond. It isn't until he harms Max. And that Jake feels like he has to defend Max. And John, he sticks to his guns and says, if you fight again, if you fight Ryan, no matter what the reason is, you're fighting outside the gym. I can no longer train you. You're not welcome in my gym anymore. He's basically saying your actions do have consequences. And Ryan, or John, no, not John, not Ryan, Jake. It's like, well, sometimes you just have to risk it. And what we learned about John is he's avoiding his father because him and his brother were like really good MMA fighters. And then they got into a fight at a bar and his brother died. And so he's kind of been avoiding his father since his brother died. And so through talking to Jake, and Jake speaks about like sometimes, you still have to do things even if you know that you're going to have consequences, and you just have to accept the consequences. So John actually leaves to go make amends with his own father, and at the end of the movie, and Jake goes to the beatdown to fight Ryan. And right before the final fight, they both go through the tournament, and they get to the final fight. Jake is already in the final fight, and Ryan has one more fight before the final fight between him and Jake. And Ryan gets DQ'd, he gets disqualified because he like gouges someone's eye. He cheat and gouges the guy's eye, fights dirty. And so when Jake learns that he's not going to be fighting Ryan in the final fight, he as soon as the fight starts, he taps out and he's like, "There's no point in fighting. Like, I don't want to fight. The only reason I was fighting was so I couldn't fight anymore, or so I don't have to fight anymore." And they do that thing where there was like one scene in a classroom earlier in the movie, and they try to draw parallels between what they're learning in school to what's happening in their lives. And in this class, they're talking about like the Odyssey and the Iliad and all of that. And they mention Achilles' shield, and they liken Jake to Achilles' shield. And they say that on Achilles' shield, it wasn't an action scene. Oh, hey, Eve. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so they're in this classroom and they're talking about the Iliad and the Odyssey. They mentioned that in the Odyssey and the Iliad, you have Achilles, and on Achilles' shield isn't like this like giant symbol for fighting for a warrior. It's actually a depiction of like a quaint, quiet life, and right, and what is symbolized on Achilles' shield. And they liken the main character Jake and his journey to Achilles' shield, saying, and that's why at the end of the film, in the final fight, Jake, the main character, rejects the final fight because he doesn't see the purpose in it anymore. If he's not going to fight Ryan, then there's no purpose, because his purpose of fighting Ryan was so he wouldn't have to fight anymore. So there's this quote that's been going around online recently, and there's also like a Chinese proverb that fits it as well, that, and I'm paraphrasing here, that says, something along the lines of, you'll never know the wrath of a man, or there's nothing stronger than the wrath of a man who never wanted to fight, who just wanted to live a quiet, solitary life. Basically, the idea of it, and like I said, there's also like a similar Chinese proverb, is that once a man has nothing to lose and you're taking away his peace, his opportunity to live a normal life, and you're going to awaken something in him that's primordial, that he will fight to his death to make it to where he doesn't have to fight anymore. He's always, you're putting him in that fight state, and you're not giving him the option to, flight, to leave. So he's just gonna double down, and he's gonna fight you until he doesn't have to fight anymore, until he can get what he wants and lay his sword down, right? And so that's why Jake is fighting, so he doesn't have to fight anymore. And since Ryan keeps on provoking him, he's like, I'm gonna fight him, and he's gonna provoke me until I fight him. He's going to harm the people that I love. He's not gonna let me rest until I fight him. So he goes to the final fight, he gets to the end, Ryan cheats, he gets disqualified, and they're like, okay, final fight, you're not Jake, you're not fighting Ryan. And he taps out, he goes to leave. And also, a really good detail I like is that in the end, the shirt that Jake wears is his dad's shirt, symbolizing he is kind of integrating his masculine side. He's integrating, he's forgiving himself. He's accepting his dad's death. He's taking he's accepting everything, all his emotions, and what he thinks others, like his mother, thinks about him and everything, and he's just accepting it all, and he's becoming whole. So I like that detail of him putting on his father's shirt. And even his mother accepts that he's going to do a fight. But, throughout the entire movie, she's like, don't fight. I don't want you to fight. You're ruining your life. And it's because at the beginning of the film, he's just getting into random fights randomly that people are provoking him, bringing up what happened to his father and everything, triggering him. And he's getting sent to jail. His mom has to go to the police station to get him. She's like, I don't want you to fight. And then she sees the change in Jake once he starts training with John. And she accepts, she even meets John, and it's like, take care of my boy. And so, so that's the mother realizing that her son's going to grow up, and it's best if a man guides him through that. And the reason why I have a kind of a issue with the mother is you kind of see her at the beginning of that journey and at the end, and they're like, yeah, you do see her meet John, but you don't see what made her change her mind. If she saw something in her son, like the reason why I said that earlier, that she saw him grow as he was training with John, because that's just where I'm assuming she saw. Like, it's like they took the point A and point C and skipped over point B. So you really see his mom's where she's at the beginning of the movie, and you see where she's at the end of the movie, and you don't really see what caused that change fully, what switched in her mind, what her journey was. You just kind of see the beginning of and end of his mom's journey, which she's not the main character, of course. So, I guess it really doesn't matter. You still get the whole idea, but it feels like there's something missing there. There's a piece missing in the story. Probably a scene cut on the or left on the cutting room floor, so to speak. And or maybe literally, I mean, this is 2000, so this could have been filmed on the film camera, not digital. So it might have literally been a piece of film left on the cutting room floor. And so John and Baja goes to leave the beatdown, the final fight, that step up dance final tournament thing, and he is going through the parking lot, and that's when Ryan hears that Jake is just leaving the fight, wasn't going to fight in the final fight. So Ryan goes out to the parking lot. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, what are you doing? And because he doesn't get why Jake doesn't want to fight. And so Ryan, right there in the parking lot of the warehouse place that the beatdown was taking part in, they start fighting, Ryan and Jake, and they had to find their final fight in the parking lot. And this time Jake wins and Ryan loses in front of everybody. And because everyone goes from inside to outside, because they're like, the real final fight's happening outside, not these chumps that are, one got in because one dropped out of the final fight, the other one got in because the other guy got disqualified. So the real final fight's outside. So everyone goes outside, crowds around them, and Baja's there supporting Jake. And Jake wins the fight. And so it's the Karate Kid mentor into adulthood, into manhood ethos trumps wins against the Fight Club self-initiation, your shadow devours you kind of mindset, right? And then they all live happily ever after. And so I thought that was a really interesting idea of this film kind of being placed a few years after Fight Club, but a few years before the Karate Kid remake. And so it's kind of this halfway point, and it really is kind of combines that the Karate Kid ethos and film and tropes and the Fight Club ones, and shows you that the way through, the way out, the way through the ashes, the way through the rite of passage doorway, the right way is through mentorship, it's through guidance, it's through our elder, it's through the wild man, Dark Father, whatever you want to refer to it as, to harness all your archetypes, including the warrior archetype, is through that. And you're testing the people that are going to provoke you in life. Your obstacles are going to be, the embodiment of the Fight Club ethos. And there was also a little side story of like Jake and his little brother Charlie, and how Charlie looks up to Jake, and Jake trying to be a good older brother to him and kind of mentor Charlie into the next stage of his life, get him ready for adulthood as well. But he can't do that until he's a man. He can't initiate his brother into manhood until he's a man himself. Because at the beginning of the film, Jake is still hasn't gone through that door, hasn't gone through the rites of passage, isn't whole. So I thought it was a really interesting film. I guess it's very 2000s. So shout out to Henry Miller, I believe his name is, the guy that made a short video reel on it that brought this movie to my attention, and to Warren Beauty giving me that word pastiche, which this film is not. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I would like to know if you guys have seen the film, or if you go watch it after this video. Please come back, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts on this movie is. Later today, in a few hours, possibly around like 3 Eastern, 4 Central-ish, the Branch and I will be going live again on Channel KOK to do our year review, year recap, Dark Maga, Dark Father, where we kind of recap the end of the year. I'm talking about the Dark Father symbolism of 2025 and in the culture, and Branch will be talking about Dark Maga AI Panopticon kind of stuff and what he's been tracking for the past year plus. It's going to be our big King of Branch Show special. So go check that out if you're watching this in the future, or check it out later today. More Fati, everyone. And this is King signing off from the Kingdom of Eternal Reign. More Fati. See you guys next time.
Why me?
Because you remember the stars. Seek the chronoscope. The fallen North Star still waits.
And if I fail?
Then the reign never ends.
Keeps falling soft and slow. A shame, it feels like coming home. And all of the whispers from backstage will turn to echoes on the empty stage. And you know the pages faded away, and you know the call is in your veins.
Channel KOK.
Next Kingdom Reviews.
Nord, little citizenships! From Goy Toys comes Nord Q, who delivers products of obedience. Watch as he teaches you to dock your rights and flow with the currency of Admiralty law. Nord! Illuminator Drown! Flip on his birth certi float and birth your freedoms for the greater illumination. With Nord the Cube, Operation Mind Fund for ages 5.
Tonight on Kingdom Reviews, dive into the mind-bending horrors of disturbing behavior.
MK Ultra mind control.
Whoa! Berserker rages and high strangeness at Lover's Lane. Will the teens break free from the blue ribbons? Don't miss it, or face the Berserker within.
The middle path is Christ's way. The cross unites all worlds.
Connect to your center.
Tonight on Kingdom Reviews, blast into the meta, mayhem of the last action hero.
Golden tickets to movie worlds, wild man mentors,
And Flanderized myths. Can Danny harness the Berserker fire? Don't miss it, or stay trapped in the Dreamer's shadow.
Channel KOK.
Viewer discretion is advised.
The rain never ends here. Stone-soaked streets whisper myths from reels that rewind the sky. Fog climbs towers of forgotten stone, a kingdom veiled where time's unknown. Scripts tell stories that outlive death. You are now tuned in to KOK. A reel of God's own silver dream, where the heavens splice our joy and pain. The crown is rust, but I still gleam, lit by projectors, ancient beam. Pause the fear, fast forward hope, rewind the year. You are now tuned in to KOK. Castle halls with TV light play angel scripts in black and white, in the kingdom beneath the ever-falling skies, where we once watched the North Star flicker above. Scrolls of VHS inside cathedral halls, faith broadcasted through rainfalls, calls, dreams projected on the castle wall, bleeding silver in the ancient night. You are now tuned in to KOK. Where God directs and ghosts recite, lift the dawn over aliens all. Lift the dawn over aliens all. Lift the dawn over aliens. Lift the dawn, lift the dawn, lift the dawn, lift the dawn. You are now tuned into Channel KOK, broadcasted from the kingdom of eternal reign, where movies are the modern myths, and we each remember that every man's soul is in his keeping alone. God directs our fate. Will is your choice. May still a